Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm going to do a magazine review, a more recent magazine, an issue of Cosmic Horror Monthly, issue number 14 from August of 2021. We are Telltale Books, bringing you the best in literature, literary topics, and graphic design and bookmaking.
If you want to support us, you can find us on Etsy and Pango, where you can find gently used, rare, and even top quality used books.
And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and maybe even that bell to be notified when new videos go live.
Thanks for joining us.
Cosmic Horror Monthly is a magazine that got started not long ago. Got started after the pandemic. And this is the issue I'm reviewing here. There are 13 issues ahead of this. I did get in on this at the beginning. The first 3 issues I got electronically, and then I started getting the print issues, and I had a subscription. I was really liking that, but then for whatever reason, they changed my subscription to just an electronic subscription, and they said they were only going to do the magazine electronically. I'm seeing now where they have been doing the issue as a print issue, but I dropped my subscription mainly because they said they weren't going to do a printed issue anymore, and I prefer print. I do prefer print, especially for things like this where I want to have a collection. I want it in print. And so now I'm seeing it's in print again, but the print edition, they want $150 a year for a subscription. Now it is 12 issues, but still, it's a bit much. I realize they probably have costs. Being a small magazine, they don't have enough subscribers to be able to bring that price down. Distribution may be a problem, but I really didn't like the way that they did things, where I was able to subscribe and get print issues, and then that was supposed to be something I was able to keep getting, and then all of a sudden, oh sorry, no, your subscription from here on out is only going to be digital, and I did not want digital. They didn't win me over with that move. But then the magazines have been doing a lot of business decisions lately that are bad moves. Fantasy and science fiction has yet to be published again since the big sale. Asimov and Analog are being published, but they're sending out subscription copies after the issues are already off the newsstand, and the next issue is supposed to be on the newsstand. That's when you're receiving your new issues in the mail. And the latest issue, even though the next issue is already supposed to be on the newsstands, a lot of people are reporting it's not there, and us subscribers don't even have the last issue yet. And it's a magazine that's published every 2 months. I mean, come on. Subscribers are 3 months behind with the issues. We should be getting them ahead of the newsstands. So they don't have their act together either. And then I got the issues, the September-October issues of Asimov and Analog. I got them about middle of November, and they were mangled beyond belief. Plus, they've gone back to sticking the mailing label right on the cover of the magazine, which drives me nuts. So magazines are not making good decisions. The people in charge of them, they need to wake up and see that they're managing themselves right out of the market. This one, the print issues, when I was receiving print issues, they were really nice. I have to admit, I'm only now reading August 2021 because I'm that far behind on picking these up and reading them because of all the other stuff I'm doing for Telltale Books. But it's got a nice glossy cover. The look of this cover is pretty nice, although way too much text. But the illustration is cool. And this one, the earlier issues of this didn't really have anything of Lovecraftian, which is strange for something called Cosmic Horror Monthly. I mean, not that they have to be 100% a Lovecraft magazine, but to go through 13 issues and not really have much of anything Lovecraft. And the main people who are going to be attracted to this magazine are the people who love H.P. Lovecraft. And so finally, with this issue, they came out with one that was very much Lovecraft. All the stories are Cthulhu stories. And they even, one of the things I loved about this magazine is they always have this feature called In the Crypt, which is old, weird stories reprinted. But this is the first issue where they actually reprint H.P. Lovecraft, and they've got two of them, The Music of Eric Zahn and The Hound. Previous magazines were printing like H.G. Wells, which I loved, but I mean, you know, they had some really good stories, but this is the first that I saw Lovecraft in the magazine. But I love that feature of the In the Crypt where they reprint old stories like that. That's a lot of what got me to actually subscribe to this magazine. So, well, I have every one of the print issues from number 4 through this and beyond. I'm going to start with reporting this. I'm going to go back and report on the others as well, but then I'll start up with number 15 and go on, because I didn't do videos on Cosmic Horror Monthly when I first started getting it. I was doing Telltale, but I wasn't reporting on magazines back then, so I didn't do it. So now I got to backtrack and do the earlier ones. So issue number 14, August 2021, is what I'm here to talk about. And magazine starts out. The other authors in here are all authors that I'm not familiar with. And in many cases, the authors that Cosmic Horror Monthly publishes, not just in this issue, but in the rest of its issues, are authors that have only done 1 or 2 stories. So they're really good about giving newer people a chance to get published. So the very first story, The Dust of Nyarlathotep by Scott Michael Hutchings. The only information I could find on ISFDB about Hutchings was that he only has 2 speculative fiction stories published, this being one of them. So the story, of course, is Nyarlathotep. It's definitely Cthulhu mythos. It's concerning the Black Pharaoh Nyarlathotep, and what happens is this archaeologist has what he claims to be the dug up casket and mummy of the Black Pharaoh Nyarlathotep, and he has it at his place. So the narrator of this story, he goes to the archaeologist's place, and the story starts out by talking about how the dust of mummies is thought by some people to have an aphrodisiac effect. And in this case, the dust of Nyarlathotep floating all through the archaeologist's place, he's got a whole bunch of people that he invited there for this, and they're all involved in a massive orgy. And the dust immediately affects the narrator, and he joins in. But then he sees everybody around him starting to melt. And he pulls away and runs away, but this mass of bodies is able to follow him. It's all melted together with just, weird limbs, eyes, legs sticking out here and there, and able to flow and crawl and go through the sewers of the city and catch up with him. And I won't spoil the rest of the story from there. A very good story. I wish Hutchings would write more, publish more, or maybe he's been trying and nobody's been publishing him. People out there, get a clue. This guy's pretty good. Publish him. I want to read more of his stories. I think he really captured the feel of of the Cthulhu mythos. The style and the atmosphere and the weirdness. It felt like something not quite like Lovecraft, but a lot like any other Cthulhu mythos story you would read. So after that comes the Hogansburg Horror by Mike T. Lydon or Lydon, not sure. And this story is the only one that I can find listed. There's a little bit of biographical information at the end of each story about each author, and for this author it talks about how he makes a lot of indie films. So he's only published the one story. He's got a lot of indie films out there. It doesn't say what kind of indie films, if they're also horror or not. And yeah, I've also seen where he does illustrations. Now in this story, in the state of Georgia, a guy is summoned by a friend, and his friend tells a story. His friend's house is next to woods, an area that used to be owned by the Watleys of Dunwich. I don't want to spoil more by saying more about that story. It's another good story, very much in Lovecraft tradition. A little hard to believe because the Watleys were way up in Massachusetts by Arkham. What are they doing in Georgia? That connection is not really spelled out here, but that's the only weak point of it. So this is another author. I wish he would write more, publish more, or people would publish him if he's trying. After that comes The West Arkham Reservoir by J.M. Faulkner. Now, Faulkner lives in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and is an English teacher there. He's published 8 stories of speculative fiction going back to 2020. This story goes back to the Gardner farm from The Color Out of Space. Many years later, contemporary time, a government, I think it was a helicopter, is flying over the reservoir that flooded the Gardner farm at the end of Color Out of Space. And the color seems to have come back and is starting to engulf and expand. It's a good story, but I like the first 2 better. This one wasn't as strong. The next one, I think, was the best of the issue, A Deal Between Bats. The author is Erica Seiko Campbell. And Campbell has published a number of stories since 2020, so she's a relatively new author. It goes by some other name now. Trying to look up on the internet more information about her. I got directed to something else and had to figure out that she's changed her name. Another short story, but this is the longest one. And in this you have human refugees from a destroyed Earth go to the planet Insavantu, sorry. And one of the Earthmen gives to one of the Insavantu this crystal. And that's where troubles begin. A plague starts spreading through the worlds. The crystal calls up the crawling chaos. And so the Insavantu individual that has this crystal, after 90% of that person's world has been decimated by plague, goes elsewhere and goes into seclusion and is very careful not to touch the crystal. I thought this was a really strong story, and I like how it took from the Cthulhu mythos but put it far in deep space and far future. I thought that was really cool. And I would look forward to reading more work by this author. I think think she's the strongest in this issue so far. The next story is The Child by Greg Chamberlain. In it, a mother takes her child to a doctor to see why the child is so withdrawn. This was a good story with an interesting ending. Chamberlain has written many short stories for more than 10 years, so he's not a brand new author, but he hasn't published any novels or, been in major magazines. He's mostly been in the smaller magazines like Cosmic Horror Monthly, but he was good. And then The Final Touchdown by Zebulon Warren, or the Final Touchdown of Zebulon Warren, was written by James A. Wolfe, was originally published in Strange Aeons in 2020. So this is actually a reprint story. Wolfe has not published much of anything else. And right off the bat, this is a football story. Okay. It's a weird football story, but I generally hate sports stories. I just don't go for them. They don't do anything for me. With some exceptions, sports stories just don't grab me at all. They just don't interest me. So it's about a player on a football team in Innsmouth. Sorry, I didn't care for it. And then finally this issue wraps up with the From the Crypt. And in this issue you have 2 H.P. Lovecraft. One is The Music of Eric Zahn, which Emily and I reviewed not too long ago. So please look into our H.P. Lovecraft playlist for that review. And then it has The Hound, which is a 1924 story. We're only up to 1923. I didn't want to go out of publication order and review that one right now. Plus, Emily probably will join me for it when we review it. So we'll be reviewing that one. I'm going to bet we get to it before the end of 2026. Probably long before the end of 2026. So look for that one separately from us in the near future, and that gives you a reason to come back. Like I say, I'm going to talk more about the issues of Cosmic Horror Monthly that I do have. I think it's an interesting magazine. I just think they didn't treat us early subscribers so well, and I think their current subscription price is not something much of anybody's going to want to pay that much for, especially for, it's just a 100-page magazine. It's a well-done magazine, but very small. Most of the writers are not known, and they're charging $150 a year. In these days when we're all tightening our belts because of the price of everything going way up, we can't afford that kind of a subscription. And I think they really need to rethink that and try to find some better way to handle the print issues. Individual print issues going all the way back to issue 1 are available through both their website and through Amazon. So if you're interested either in the latest issue or in going back to these earlier issues, they're all still available. You can go and get them. $14.99 an issue though. I think that's a little pricey for what you get here. It would be different if they would have at least one story per issue by a really well-known author, or if they had twice as many pages. But for what it is, it's sticker shock. Honestly, it's sticker shock. I can't believe that they're charging so much. And I'm not saying that they're just ripping people off. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's just for that kind of a magazine, it's too much money to be spending. I can't justify it with my budget. So, anyway, have you read Cosmic Horror Monthly? If so, leave your comments in the comments section. Come on back for more of this kind of thing and more of everything else we do here on Telltale Books. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be here into the indefinite future.